Here we go. Welcome into the Channel Tennessee podcast. It is November the 11th, 2024. Tennessee takes care of business over Mississippi State, 33-14. Georgia is on deck. I've got a rant, a rainy rant. I got a random stat of the night. Got a random stat of the night that I want to go over. Can you hear me fine, Austin? Am I coming through clear?
You are coming through as clear as can be, my friend.
Good. Because I want everyone to hear me when I go over my rant later, and kind of want to start the podcast with a random stat of the night. I was watching the pregame to the Monday Night Football game and took a picture of this stat. Random stat of the night. Florida football teams this week were 0-11. All of Florida football teams were 0-11. The Buccaneers lost. The Jags lost. Miami, Florida, Florida State, UCF, South Florida, Florida Atlantic, Bethune Cookman, Florida A&M, and Stetson. The whole entire state lost this weekend. The state of Florida.
Wait. You're telling me Florida State lost too?
Yeah, Florida State.
Oh my God.
Believe it or not.
The one guy I thought could come through for the Sunshine State was Florida State.
Believe it or not.
Well, just a bad day on their end. Well, at least it's going better on the basketball front. No, it's not. Accused of stalking and sending solicited pics. But it's okay. He'll coach the next game, so it's okay.
Right. But again, welcome in to the Channel Tennessee podcast. I'm your host, Randy, alongside my good friend, Austin Brown. We're here to talk sports. We are here to talk Tennessee sports. So let's do the damn thing, my friend. Let's talk Tennessee sports. Tennessee takes care of Mississippi State 33-14, and then someone called an ugly win. But I don't care how you win. Just win. Just win, baby. Just win. Georgia's on deck. I got a rant. I just went over the random stat of the night. But how are we feeling, Austin? How are we doing? How are we feeling after Mississippi State?
We're feeling good. We're feeling good. It was a weird game because you come out. It was a fine first half. I mean, it wasn't perfect by any means necessary, but Dylan Sampson had the fourth straight game with a fumble. But it was an interesting first half. Nico had a couple TDs, and then Nico did not come out for the second half, and that was kind of panicking. But we've recently learned it was they call an upper body injury. From what we understand, it was probably a concussion. They didn't bring him out into the game. Gaston Moore finished the first or second half. We got the win, and Heupel comes out in the press conference after the game and says we expect him to be available for next week against Georgia, and he doubled down on that today. So as long as Nico plays against Georgia, I'm a pretty happy guy.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be okay. The way so where I sit in Y10 during the football games, and Nico's dad sits right below me. So I see him the whole entire game. And the way that Nico's dad got up and exited to go down to the locker room to see Nico, it did not look too worrisome, in my opinion. He just kind of took his time, was like talking to people, and just kind of walked. So I think, like you said, I don't think it's anything major because he did come out again after his upper body injury, in quotation marks. Comes out again and looks fine. But I don't ever really believe Josh Heupel when he says anything injury related because he just kind of hides it. But I think this kind of go around that Josh Heupel was kind of telling the truth, like he was just precautionary. And I told you this earlier today, Austin, that I just think he knew that they could probably come out and just beat Mississippi State because Mississippi State's just not a very good football team. So,
hold on. So you're telling me Nico's dad left in a calm manner to go check on his son. What would have been like a worrisome manner, like Liam Neeson and Taken, like, oh, my son,
No,
or my
well,
like, like
I mean,
Arnold Schwarzenegger in that whatever the movie is where they're trying to get the doll. He's like climbing over people.
put the cookie down. Um, no, you're talking about Jing-
Now that would have been I would if I saw Nico's dad do that, I'd be a little worried. Not gonna lie.
yeah, well, you're talking about Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's the movie.
No,
Yes.
but seriously, no, honestly, you can read people's body language. You could depict if they're worried or not. He didn't seem too worried when he was walking off. Like if you're a parent and your kid's seriously injured or something like that, your body language is going to look a little bit different if they're really hurt. You're not going to be like just all calm and kind of
Mhm.
dabbing people up as you walk out, or talking to people. You're gonna get down there pretty quick probably if it's something major. But body language wise, he looked like he was just going to check on him. Kind of one of those deals. It didn't seem like he thought it was too bad. So I believe Josh Heupel. I think they were just precautionary and kept him out. And then our boy came in, just started launching balls down the field against. And I don't understand this either. Here's one thing that I kind of depict from that as well. Like, how did the offense? He comes in, and the offense completely changes. And I know that he's been with Heupel for a long time, but you can't tell me that Nico can't make some of those throws. I mean, he was just launching it up. Why can't we do that with Nico? I don't get it.
I mean, it's not like we don't do it with Nico. We do it with Nico, but it's just maybe it's a little bit of he knows Gaston knows the playbook really well. I mean, I that's the only explanation I can give you with that. I mean, we really just launched it up and got PIs. That's all we really got. I swear, like half the time he threw it up, we ended up going down the field because of a PI, and thank God for that. And
Okay, so why is that any different when Nico's? Why can't Nico do that? Like, I don't understand. I feel like
yeah,
when Nico's in the game, it's almost. I get you say Gaston Moore knows the playbook like better, which he does, because they ran that weird. It wasn't even a screen; it was almost like a slant, like a delayed slant to Ethan Davis up the middle, which is a really pretty play. Nico's never ran that, but still, I don't understand how Nico can't run those things. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, that's not a hard play to throw. Not a hard play to say
yeah.
hike. Like, not a hard play to hike the ball, and your tight end delays for a little bit, then comes straight up the middle. That's not a tough play.
Maybe it's a bit of like communication, like that's a preset thing, and that they
be.
could trust him to remember and be able to get everyone on the same page, and they don't want to throw all that on Nico's plate, so they just kind of have him run the stuff they're very much comfortable with him running. I don't know. I'm not in their QB room. I don't know. I don't know.
But you
But
I just I don't know. It was kind of weird to me that Gaston came in and then just started just unleashing the offense down the field. I don't understand that at all.
I do
I don't
think
get it.
I think that's where Nico they want him to be in the future. I think the offense will look so much better. Maybe even this season down the road. I don't know.
But yeah, but I mean the plays weren't like it. I don't know. It's kind of puzzled me. I was sitting in the stadium watching it and wondering why, like, it wasn't anything hard. They were just launching it down the field. It wasn't like design plays. It was you run straight and throw the ball. Like, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
if Nico, I don't know, man. Like that I feel like that's what Tennessee's offense has been missing. Those deep shots, take shots down the field. Like, I know that Gaston Moore has been in the offense for 4 years under Josh Heupel, but dadgum, if you're Josh Heupel and you have a weapon and a runner like Nico that can run, and a running game like that we have, man, I would take shots down the field like that a lot,
Mm-hmm.
because that immediately opens up everything else. And I know, like, we're no football coaches or X's and O's, but it's pretty obvious when you got to worry about those deep threats, those players back up a little bit. They're not just stacking the box, 8 in the box, because Mississippi State had a lot of 8 in the box during that game against Tennessee. So if you're going to beat Georgia, I don't know. You got to do that. maybe hype. I don't know.
Do you gotta
People,
do that? I've watched a little bit of 2024 Georgia, and I honestly don't know if we have to score a whole lot of points.
uh, yeah. I mean,
Okay, we got to score at least
we
like
got to score.
28.
I want to blow them. I don't, God, dude. I
Would
just,
be hilarious.
I hate them. I hate Alabama. I hate Georgia. I hate Florida. If we could, can you imagine if we just kill the trifecta of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia in one season? Just kill the
We-
trifecta
We haven't done that since
forever.
04. It's been 20
Long
years.
time. 20
20
years.
years.
20 years. You kick the trifecta right in the balls. Like just sneak up on them, get them. Because like you said, people are saying, and I don't believe this at all, because we are in week 10 of this football season. And I honestly believe that teams are what they are at this point of the season. There's not much is going to change. I think that I honestly think Georgia is kind of they're kind of in kind of a dysfunction right now. Like they're kind of in disarray. Like you have all those problems before the season with all the speedings and all that like hoopla that their team
Blah.
hoopla that their team went through, and you have the player that is celebrating with the other guy on the other team after the game, and you have Beck who is over there laughing on the sidelines. I don't think their team is. I just don't think they're going to snap in. I just don't think Georgia's very good. I really don't. And I don't think that they're just going to, oh, they lost the game. They're going to be pissed off. Well, they didn't. They lost against Alabama. They didn't look, I mean, they when they lost their first game, they didn't look very pissed off the next week either. So I don't know. I don't believe that they lose a game. They're going to be angry and mad. I don't believe that.
I think it's very evident with programs like Georgia, who have been running this this machine every single season. It's like they are automatically killers. It's like Bama back in the early 2010s. They're just absolute killers, just monsters week in, week out. You don't want to get them on the wrong week, or you don't want to get them at all. Even if they did look human, when you push them, they would just unleash this superhuman like offense or the superhuman like team. But I don't think that's there right now because through the portal and through other things, NIL, they've not been able to stack talent like they used to. When they don't, like back in the day when they'd always have a 4-star dude in his third year ready to sub in, and instead of that guy subbing in, he's going to go start at Florida State or South Florida or something like that. He's trying out somewhere else. He's not going to sit and play 10 or 15 snaps for Georgia as a redshirt junior. That's not what he's going to do. He's going to find a way to play 40 or 50 snaps for some other program that's around the same range or a little bit of a step down. And that I feel like is really now settling in for Georgia. I think in the past years it wasn't as evident because they really had some senior leadership and just more of a more leadership, more experienced guys, like really top level guys. And I think those guys went out, and the guys come in who are starting right now are not as elite, and they weren't bred like they usually would have been under Kirby. And also, I think Carson Beck's an idiot. He's not a good quarterback. His brain is broken. He throws Will Levis interceptions.
He has 12 interceptions in the last 6 games.
That is, yeah. Since the Bama game, he averages 2 picks a game. It's insane, and they're not like, oh, this ball was tipped and went to the linebacker. No, they're right to them. They're horrible passes. He's not reading defenses worth a damn. The running backs, they don't run the ball that well. They don't have that much great push on the O-line. Ole Miss's D-line ate them alive. And that's just something I never thought we'd see under Kirby Smart. I mean, this game last year, Georgia just sat there and just went and murdered Ole Miss. We came into that game thinking, Ole Miss has a shot, and it was an absolute kill job. But right now, it's weird. Like Ole Miss didn't even play that well. They lost their quarterback for I think most of the first half and turned it over on their first drive. Gave Georgia plenty of ample opportunities, and they just fumbled around and and then but still got killed by Ole Miss. And do you realize? Okay, Do you know this? When was the last time someone not named Alabama beat Georgia before the Ole Miss game?
Someone not named Alabama that beat
Yeah,
Georgia?
yeah, before this Ole Miss game.
Tennessee?
No, it was Florida in the 2020 season.
Florida. That's right. Florida. Yep, you're right. And yeah, that's a wild stat. But man, it's something that really perked my ears up when you were just talking just now. Is you mentioned the transfer portal. You mentioned how Georgia could just run players out there before the transfer portal, 4-star guys that have been there for 3 years and just keep running them out there, running them out there, running them out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you mentioned their offensive line has been very suspect. They whiff. I went back and watched, and they do a lot of whiffing. They do a lot of missing on blocks. A lot. If you go and watch, they miss a lot. You know whose defensive line has a bunch of 4-star players that have been there for 3 or 4 years that rotated in and out, in and out, in and out?
Mm-hmm. Tennessee.
Us.
Isn't this crazy? We're going to
Us.
the Georgia-Alabama game, and we're thinking our defense is just straight up better than Georgia's. That's kind of crazy. It's year 4 under Heupel, and I mean, hell, last year you wouldn't even thought this would be possibility in 2024, and it's just crazy how college football is right now. It's really, really, we got to win this game.
Yeah.
We can very much win this game. It's 7:30 kickoff in Athens, Georgia, and I still am sitting here saying we need to win this game. I kind of thought I'd just assume a loss here, but we have this is a great opportunity.
Yeah. Kennedy Surgeon chimes in. SEC is just beating up on each other. It's going to be very interesting the rest of the season in the SEC. And this is exactly why I say that Tennessee can have 2 losses and possibly still make the playoffs. Everyone says we got to win out. But what Kennedy just said, the SEC, there could be another loss for the majority of these teams before the season's over. There's 4 games left. And he's right. The SEC just beats up on each other. They kill each other. And if Tennessee, let's say they lose a close one to Georgia, I can't see the committee just being like, oh, this team sucks. No, they're out. And then you have maybe Georgia or Alabama or Ole Miss. Ole Miss is very capable of dropping another game. Lane Kiffin is known for that stuff. I mean, he is known for that. He's known for they're on the doorstep, and then boom, he does something stupid. His team does something stupid. They come out flat.
Who do they have?
Let me look it up real quick. But I agree with I agree with Kennedy, man. It's just, and that's what I told you at the tailgate, and I've told you several times that Tennessee can lose this game and still get in, but everyone's like, no, they got to win out. I totally don't believe that, because
I mean,
Ole Miss just is going to surpass us right now because they just beat Georgia and all the shenanigans and Alabama. Oh my God, here they come! Like, get off, stop riding the Alabama dick. I'm so tired of it. Does our win not even matter at all against Alabama? It's insane. And
I've heard so many people say, well, you take away the Alabama win, your resume sucks. Well, God dang, I hope they don't take that away.
Yeah, but they are riding Notre Dame cowgirl style. Come on. And you lost to NIU. Come on. Seriously.
Yeah, I don't get the Notre Dame just ultimate love. I know they beat A&M, but I mean, hell, a lot of teams beat A&M. I mean, South Carolina, I guess that's the only other team that did it, but whatever.
Okay,
I'm not that incredibly impressed by that. I mean, Reed Shepherd, or Reed, whatever his name is, didn't even play against them.
So Ole Miss only got 2 games left. So Ole Miss plays next. They play Florida and then Mississippi State. I'm not kidding you. They can drop one of those games, and I see them dropping one of those games. And honestly, I see them dropping. I think Florida's going to get them. I really do. I think Florida's going to get them.
Game? Where is that game?
Florida. It's in Florida.
I mean, Florida has to have a lot more life than they had against Texas.
But
I mean,
Florida, listen, I know that Florida is Florida. I hate Florida. I want them to die every time they take the field. That team is not terrible. They're just not. Billy Napier is terrible, but the team is not awful because he's got
Did you
talent.
watch? Did you watch any of their Texas game?
I did not, but
It was 45-0.
Again, what I told you last week on this podcast, Quentin Ewers is a stud. Dude comes back healthy. Texas is dangerous. The Texas is like the best team in the country. Healthy, they're the best team in the country. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin does these things where Lane Kiffin does Lane Kiffin. I'm telling you right now, Lane Kiffin is going to drop one of these games to Florida and Mississippi State. I'm telling you right now, Mississippi State's record's terrible. That team's not horrible. It's not. They're not bad. They're not horrible. They're not horrible.
Here's a lot of grab I have with the playoff committee rankings right now. Why is Penn State getting so much respect? Their best win remains to be Illinois, who I don't care what anyone says. They would lose to about 90% of the SEC, maybe 85. Like Mississippi State, Missouri, Oklahoma might be the only teams to lose to Illinois. And they lost their one big game at home, unlike Tennessee. And yet that they have such a better resume than we do. They're a 6, and we're according to some people at CBS, we're like a 13, somehow below Alabama, who we just beat. And we have less losses then. But I do think we could get in at 10-2.
I think we can too.
Someone's
going to drop a game.
I'm just going to say though, I don't want to do that though. I want to go. Honestly, I've been thinking about it. The only way I think we host a playoff game is if we went out, get to the SEC title game, and lose. That's the only way. That's our only path for being a host. And obviously, the best case scenario would be winning it all, winning the SEC title, and then being an automatic, top 4 seed that gets the bye. So those are the 3 likely scenarios. I actually ran ESPN. I don't know how much you could trust this. I mean, we all know that there are people making this decision. It's not robots or numbers or whatever. It's real human beings that make this decision, and that's why it's scary, frankly. But I did run the numbers at ESPN. ESPN has a playoff projection thing on their website where you can select wins or losses. And I selected Tennessee loses to Georgia and wins the rest of their games and doesn't make the SEC title game. I selected those things, and they said we have a 76% chance of making the playoff if we finish 10-2 with the Georgia loss. So, yeah, there's definitely a good shot we make the playoff with the Georgia loss. I will say, though, I don't really want to go on the road. We could be going on the road in Athens again, or we could be going on the road in Austin. I don't really want to do that. I mean, if we make the playoff, I'd rather that than anything else. But I want to host a playoff game, or I want the bye. That's obviously the better scenario. And hell, I kind of want an SEC championship, and I think this team could really win that. Wouldn't it be freaking awesome to win our first SEC championship since '98? Be pretty nice.
That'd be nice, but like honestly, like a serious question, because you just hear it all over the radio, and I don't believe it that Georgia is going to come and just be some different animal this week because they lost the game. They weren't a different animal when they lost their first game, and you lost the first game. Like, oh, this is gonna be tight for them to make the playoffs now. I don't believe it, because their team is playing the same way after they lost the first game as they lost the second game. They're playing the same football. They haven't changed. And I don't believe it's just going to just snap in their heads like, oh, we're Georgia. Boom. Their wide receiver play is not like it has been. They can't get separation. Beck is just an average quarterback at best. He makes dumb decisions, 12 interceptions in the last 6 games. Tennessee's defensive line rotates in and out all game long. Best defensive line in the country. I don't care what anyone says. Best defensive line in the entire nation. Georgia's offensive line is suspect at best. You win games in the trenches. That's where you win them. Point blank. No discussion. That's where you win it. And Tennessee could wear them down. I don't know, man. I don't know what to think. Honestly.
You have a good point there, wearing them down, which is absolutely crazy to say because that is literally what Georgia football did for the past 4 or 5 years. They wear you down. They you can't sustain a full game against them because they're just so they. It's a term I've heard throughout the 20 teens under Nick Saban-ish teams like this, and it's called crock potting. They'll crock pot you to death. But honestly, man, I kind of want Tennessee to play the disrespect card. We're the higher ranked team. We're the one with only one loss, and yet we're going into this game with Georgia as a 10-point underdog. I know we haven't beat them, but we're a 10-point underdog. I mean, that talk about disrespect. I think that we should play that card. And man, when I look at this game, the position that only I fear the most, I think Nico is going to play. I think he'll look about how he normally looks. I don't think he'll have a big difference because of the suspected concussion. I think he'll be okay. I think it'll all be normal for him, and he'll hopefully look like he did against Kentucky because that was the most dominant he ever looked. I do worry about the environment getting to him because I think that was a slight problem at Oklahoma. I mean, not really. I don't know. Josh Heupel's offenses do not typically look that good on the road. That's just a kind of a common theme throughout the Josh Heupel era. But hopefully he looks a little bit more comfortable than normal on the road. And like Arkansas, he looks very uncomfortable. He also lost his receivers in that game, in which we pray to God that they can stay on the field for this game. But yeah, the position I worry about the most is definitely offensive line. The offensive line scares the living hell out of me every game, man. There's so many bad plays. It's just so many.
So I kind of disagree with that. I feel like they've gotten better.
They have.
But
they're still not very good.
I think they're. I don't know, man. Like every time I watch the replay of, let's see, I come home and I try to watch a replay of every game it's a home game for us, and we're at the game, so I got to come home and rewatch it. Every time I'll rewatch a game, I never just sit there and say, "Man, this offensive line is terrible." Early in the season, I'm saying that. I'm like, "This offensive line is just awful." I haven't said that like the past 3 or 4 games. I'm just like, they don't make a lot of dumb, boneheaded stuff like they used to. Like you had Lance Hurd early in the season where everyone is just like crapping on him. You haven't heard his name called a lot.
Do you worry about
when you don't hear someone's name? What do you mean?
I worry about on the road. On the road, it typically is worse because of the cadence and everything, and timing.
We'll see. But as much as people have crapped on Lance Hurd and Campbell and all them guys, you haven't heard their name called much. And if you're an offensive lineman, if you're not hearing your name called, that means you're playing well. So I've gone back and watched this, and I don't know, man. I just don't think Georgia is just going to switch a flip. I could be wrong because it is Georgia. But honestly, in my mind, I don't think Georgia is just going to flip some switch and be a different team than they've done all year. Like we're week 10. Like these teams are what they are. Tennessee is a great defensive team. No, not a great defensive team, an elite defensive team. This defense is elite. I don't care what anybody says. Mississippi State broke a couple runs. Okay, that still doesn't mean they're not elite. Okay, you're going to break runs on a lot of teams. I get that. They still have not allowed 20 points all season. Not once. No team has scored 20 or more points against Tennessee the entire season. So I don't know. Previous Tennessee teams I feel really uncomfortable about. This one I just don't feel that uncomfortable about. And you want to know why I don't? Because people are like, "Oh, this team is so boring." Usually when you have a boring team, they muck it up and make it boring for a reason because they can beat you. They don't have to do anything special because they're good. I look back at like the Titans in 2018, 19, 20. They weren't nothing exciting, but they were freaking good. And people just look past them because they weren't entertaining. And the next thing you know, they're in the AFC Championship game. So it's just like one of those things. I don't know. This team is very rough-necked, hard to beat. They're going to hit you. They're going to beat you up in the trenches. And you see it throughout the game. The game goes along. Teams will score kind of early on the Vols, but then that really starts to slow down as the game goes along. They seem like they can't do things right when the Tennessee defense comes on the field, and you see like Elijah Simmons and all those dudes just rotate in and out. You see Elijah Simmons just rotate in, and you're like, holy shit, that guy's massive.
You know what actually really excites me for this game
Hmm.
is that this is a defensive line. This is a whole team that has beaten everyone in the SEC pretty much in their time at Tennessee, besides Georgia. Georgia's the one team that Amari Thomas, that James Pierce, that Omar Norman-Lott, that Elijah Simmons, that Josh Josephs, that this D-line, this whole defense has never beaten. This is the one opponent that they've never gotten a victory over. For the guys that have been here 3 or 4 years. And I think they smell blood in the water with this team. And I think they're going to play the best game of the season. I think they're going to kick some fucking ass.
Like,
I think they're going to come out. I think we're coming out of there with our hair on fire and ready to drag Carson Beck all over that field. I really think the D line is going to be absolutely insane. And the whole defense in general. I think they're going to play one of their best games. And I think we're going to get at least 2 interceptions. The one thing I will say that kind of fears me is actually if they decide to put the backup in.
I don't think they're going to do that, but I could be wrong. They might. I doubt it. But I could be wrong. But I just watching this team. I gotta stop questioning it because all they do is keep winning. That's all they do, and people could say it's ugly, it's boring, but dude, go back 6, 7 years with this schedule. What is this team doing? What's their record? 6, 7, 10, 6, 7 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. What's their record against this schedule? It's not this. It's not.
Oh God, no.
Hell no. Not even
God, Jared
close.
Garantano, they would have lost that Florida team every time.
Exactly. And it's just like it's one of those things I can't say anything because they keep finding ways to. That's what good teams do. I've said it 1,000 times. That's what good teams do. They just win. You trust and you look at this team every week, every single week. And these dudes are excited to be on the field with each other. I mean, every single player is excited to be on the field with each other. Every time someone makes a play, they are going crazy. And it's a tight-knit group. And that's what happens when you have a tight-knit group. It's like you just don't give up. You don't stop. You keep going. Like you don't just pull back on the lever. You keep pushing the lever forward. And you don't go backwards. And you've seen so many times over the years of Tennessee football teams that they're just like, I don't like my coach. I like my players, but I kind of don't want to. Anytime you have a manager or any boss that you just don't like, you don't work as hard for them. You don't play as hard for them. Like you just don't. This team respects Josh Heupel. This team loves the coaching staff. They play hard for them. And that's a winning formula. It just is. So we go down to Georgia this weekend. I'm not saying we're going to win, but damn it, dude. This team has got a really good shot of going in there and beating them because all this team does is win. They had one hiccup against Arkansas, and they haven't had a hiccup since. And they've played some pretty tough opponents. They haven't been easy, and they haven't had a hiccup. One time. That's how you know you have a good team is when you lose, you don't lose after that. In Georgia, they lost, and then they lost again.
Yeah.
Alabama, they lost. Then they lost again. But Tennessee is playing Georgia. They're not playing Vanderbilt or Ole Miss. They're playing They lost. They had one hiccup. They're playing one of the best teams in the country. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm just
You
saying.
know, if you ask me what is different about this Tennessee team to the ones in the past, and why are they winning games like this? Like we've played a lot of bad games. Like we played a bad game against Kentucky. We played a bad game against Florida. We played a bad, horrible half against Alabama on the offensive side. We're leaving points on the field left and right, and but we're still winning these games for the most part outside of the Arkansas loss, which we led by a lot in, or led by 11 in, which feels like a lot. Um, if you ask me why, like, yeah, Tennessee's really looked kind of awful at times on offense, broken at times, but they're still winning games. That's culture. That's the difference. You have a winning culture. When you're not having your best days and you still win games, that's because you have a winning culture. You just find ways to win games. And you know what they had under Jeremy Pruitt and Butch Jones? They had a losing culture. They could play their best game and find a way to lose it. They would just, you'd be amazed at the way they lose games. They threw everything in the trash, and it was a big thing. It's a big deal that Josh Heupel has wiped that out of this program. Has wiped that, like, it's a mentality. It really is. Like what we always experience against Florida so many times, where we have the game in the bag and then it just, you fumble it because we can't mentally handle it. We're so fragile. Like what we did against Alabama back-to-back years, or back-to-back games in Neyland Stadium. What we did against Florida so many times, or twice now under Heupel. What we've done in other games like that. It's proven that our mentality is so much stronger, and we have this, like, when we were trailing at the half to Kentucky. Obviously it's Kentucky, but this is Kentucky team that beat Ole Miss, and we were really letting them stay in the game. I was really mad, but at the same time, like, we're gonna find a way to win this game, and we're not actually gonna lose this game. And I had all the confidence in the world in that, because we're Tennessee, and we're gonna play around with our food, but we're gonna win this game.
Yeah,
and it's just it's
true.
huge.
And Kentucky, like, lose by 1 against Georgia, and if that BS called back interception goes Kentucky's way, Georgia's sitting here with 3 losses. Georgia's not even in the playoffs. Like that's just how it is. And so, like, I'm sitting here, and it's just like, I look at all these games that Georgia's played, and I don't think they're just going to turn it on. I really don't. Like, like I said, they don't have the separations at wide receiver. They don't have the running backs. Their offensive line isn't playing well. Their defensive line seems to be suspect at times, and Tennessee can go down there and beat them. I really believe it. I really do believe it. And I don't think they're going to turn it on.
You know what would be an amazing troll job? Amazing troll job. After, let's say we won this game, and every interviewer's like, no one believed in us. Everyone said we were going to lose. Everyone said we had no shot. We read all the articles. We saw it all. No one picked us. No one picked us. It was all, no one believed all that rat poison. No one believed us. Just pull a complete troll job on the whole Georgia. No one believed in this bull crap. Oh, that'd be freaking hilarious. Man.
If Josh Heupel came out and said that, I would be a Josh Heupel lifer for life.
Josh
Heupel lifer. Like,
I'm already a lifer, but
yeah, I just, God, dude, it's just, I don't know.
You don't know how much I want to win this freaking game. I voiced my opinion on how much I hate the University of Georgia. I hate them more than anybody on the face of God's green earth. They're the most arrogant. They bark in your freaking face. It is that is a next level of human being. That is, they act like it's normal. They act like that's just, it's our fan thing. We just bark, grown men barking. It's just our thing. It's just our thing. No, it's like riding a bike. Okay, that's your thing. Knitting. That can be your thing. Barking in other people's faces, no, that is the rabid, just freaking psychotic behavior, my friend. You are not welcome at the Golden Corral anymore for that kind of shit. Okay, that is not your thing. Okay, let's just get that clear. You can be arrogant. You can be a-holes kind of, but barking, dude, that's just a weird thing, man. And you're subhuman at that point. You literally are subhuman. You're being a furry, and that's just not. I wouldn't want to be a furry. Why do you want to be furries? It's a weird thing to be, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I just hate them. I hate them a lot. I really do hate them, and I want them to never be happy again. That is really all I ever want. Just point blank. But and we can win this game. We can win this game, and we need to. We need to for obviously our playoff chances, but also I just really hate these guys and want to beat them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. We all do.
Is that?
I'm trying to look up. You had to keep talking.
Do you feel like we're missing that a little bit in college football? Like all the talk about this game is with the playoff, and but before this game always did mean something. Like it was always about just hating Georgia and hate in Tennessee, Georgia hating Tennessee, and I do kind of I like the playoff. I do. I like it more than I thought I would. I like how interesting it is every Saturday. I definitely like that caliber to the sport right now. But I do kind of miss how it used to be just pure hate. Like that was all you needed. Like coming into this game, I don't give a damn what it means about what I'm doing in January. I don't give a damn what it means I'm doing in December. I just hate Tennessee or I hate Georgia so freaking much, and I just want to win this game and I want them to be sad. I like that's at its heart what college football is. And I never want to lose that. I don't think we're losing that completely. I think that's still definitely there, but I do think we've lost it to a certain degree. But it's what it is.
Let me ask you a question. So, looking at the SEC schedule right here for this upcoming week 12 of college football, there isn't much on the table for Alabama. They play Mercer. LSU plays Florida, which LSU is irrelevant now. They're not going to make the way back in the playoffs. Missouri plays South Carolina. Some way Eli thinks that Missouri is going to get there right back in the playoffs. So Texas does play at Arkansas. Okay, I know Arkansas is a really bad team, but I know. But this is one of the most brutal rivalries that should always come back right here. Texas.
Hey, real man.
Texas Arcana right here. It's at Arkansas. Texas is only a 13.5 point favorite in this game. They're only a 13.5 point favorite. Is it going to happen? Can Arkansas pull the upset? Probably not. But damn it, we have sat here every single week and said, oh, this is going to be easy for this team. And then they end up losing. SEC is such a mess right now. It is such a mess. In Tennessee, number 7 Tennessee goes into Athens against number 3 Georgia. If Tennessee somehow finds a way to just get past Georgia, that's all it takes. But in a year where we have seen a complete and utter just cluster of stupidity in the SEC, I would not be surprised if Arkansas really gives Texas a tough test. And I'm telling you, this is a rival game that used to be one of the biggest in the country. And this does mean a lot for Arkansas. It really does. Texas, not so much. I'm just, it's been weird all year. So something weird is going to happen this weekend. I'm just telling you right now, something weird is going to happen. And I'm gonna pull up the rest of the schedule here for the rest of the games this weekend. Let's see. Let's look at some of the top teams here. Number 8, Notre Dame. Oh my God, number 8. Oh, Notre Dame's back in it after losing to NIU at home.
Army. They play Army.
No, they play Virginia, I believe.
Oh, I thought they played Army.
No, they play. Hang on, let me look. No, they play Virginia.
Where is it?
It's at Notre Dame.
Yeah,
But hang on. Here's your Penn State griping here. Penn State goes to Purdue. Penn State goes to Purdue. It's a 3:30 game. Penn State goes to Purdue. Penn State, I'm so sick of that crap. I'm so sick of that.
Why? They've lost every big game that you could ask them to win. There's not a shot in hell they are beating Alabama on their home turf. I don't give a damn what anyone says. There is no shot on God's green earth James Franklin loses that game 10 out of 10 out of 10 out of 10 times. I don't care. I'm so pissed off at that crap. You can't play freaking no one and get to the playoff. Like, we have to go to Georgia. What are you going to say? Oh, you lost Georgia. Well, we have a better win. We don't really care. You have 2 losses. They have 1. I don't care. They didn't play one. You lost Arkansas. And I know that throws it all out the window because we were idiots in Arkansas. But God dang it, man. It's harder to beat. Here's the thing. It is harder to beat Florida than it is maybe 90% of the Big Ten. I'm really convinced of that. Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana, and Michigan to a certain degree. Those are I'm trying to think of anyone else I find hard. But that's about all I could find that actually I'd be worried about going on the road playing. The rest of it, Illinois, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Iowa, UCLA, Southern Cal actually can be a little scary, but outside of that, nothing really. I don't respect them. They're all NC State in my mind. And that, because that's what it is outside the SEC and half the big and 90% of the Big Ten. I just don't fear them really, and it's ridiculous. And Miami, I thought Miami was pretty good because they're really lethal on offense, but at the same time, there's no shot in hell Tennessee's losing to Georgia Tech. Do you agree there?
Say that one more time.
Do you think there's any shot Tennessee would have lost Georgia Tech?
No.
Exactly.
No.
I do have an SEC bias, but you know what that bias is based on? Having better recruiting classes year in, year out, stacking talent. I mean, yeah, I'd agree that there's less stacked talent now, but it's still way more in the SEC than anywhere else. Honest to God, I would not be shocked if Auburn could beat Alabama. That is an upset I could see happening. Auburn actually is top 10 or top 20 in a lot of good stats. They just throw every game in the trash can with turnovers, kind of like Georgia. But
I'm gonna tell you right now,
more extreme. But
I'm gonna tell you right now, college football season this year has had more parity than any year I can remember ever.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call my silly underdog pick right here. I'm gonna call it right now. I could eat my crow, but I'm calling it. I don't care. Oregon is going to roll into Wisconsin at 7:30 at night and lose. They're going to roll up to Wisconsin 7:30 at night and lose. Oregon is going to get beat this weekend. Wisconsin's going to take them down, and it's gonna really throw a loop in the college football picture. I'm just telling you right now. They're going to go to Wisconsin and lose. Oregon is going to lose to Wisconsin.
Okay.
That's my silly pick right there.
How many teams from the SEC you think they're going to let in? Do you think they let in 5?
No. 4.
4.
4.
So right now, let's get 12. Okay, despite your pick, I'm gonna say Oregon runs the table. And then we got the 3 other automatic bids, auto bids, and I'm just gonna say Texas for the SEC, BYU for the Big 12, and Miami for the ACC. And because they play freaking no one and they get unlimited respect, apparently, I'll put Notre Dame in as an automatic, or they're just gonna make it because whatever. NIU didn't happen, I guess. And Ohio State's gonna make it in. So we got 6 teams right here. I gotta be honest, I think Ole Miss will win out. I don't think they're gonna lose to Florida, so I'm gonna put them in. And Mississippi State, I mean,
I've got Ole Miss.
nothing.
I've got Ole Miss dropping one more. I'm sorry. Lane's going to do Lane things. They're dropping one more.
Florida looked dead.
Yeah. Well,
I can't. I'm putting him in mind. Whatever. But so right now we got from the SEC. I think Bama will win out, and that's going to get them in the playoff. And Penn State, well, they're going to win out. Yeah, they're going to win out. And I guess the Big Ten title game will be Ohio State, Penn State, or Oregon, Penn State, or wait. Oh no, it'll be Ohio State, Oregon because Ohio State beat Penn State. So Penn State will be in because they play fucking no one and they get respect like nothing else. Yeah. So we got 3 bids left. The 9 of them are taken. So right now we got Georgia, Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, and A&M. And I think A&M will lose to Texas, so they're out of the picture in my head. And we currently have 3 SEC teams already in. Oh, I forgot the G5. So Boise. I'm just gonna put in Boise. So we got 2 seeds left. And the only teams I haven't penciled in that I kind of have written down are Tennessee and Georgia. I don't really think anyone. There's SMU. SMU. Okay, a 1-loss SMU.
SMU's not getting in. You have SMU, UNLV, Memphis is out of the picture.
Oh,
It's
no.
boys.
No. SMU's not a G5. They're
I'm
in
talking about the one that gets in, the random, like Boise State, UNLV.
Well, I got Boise State in because they're gonna let in one.
Okay. Yeah, no.
By rule, they got to let 1 G5 in. So I
Yeah.
got 2 spots left. I've already penciled in the 10 I believe will be in, unless craziness happens, which it may. But I already got 10 in, and the ones I don't have in yet, I have 2 spots remaining, and I have Tennessee, Georgia, SMU. They could be a 1-loss. I mean, if they win the ACC, they get the auto bid, and that would leave a 1-loss Miami sitting there. So I don't know. I think you're better off hoping SMU loses the ACC championship, and they would like you better because you're in the SEC and with better wins. And outside of that, I'm trying to think of anyone else that kind of feels like, yeah, I think Tennessee gets in with a loss. Yeah, and I think they will. I think let's just say Tennessee does lose to Georgia. I don't think it'll happen, but let's just say they did. I think that would put us both in playoff, and your playoff would be Oregon, Texas, BYU, Miami, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Ole Miss, Alabama, Penn State, Boise State, Tennessee, and Georgia. So if Georgia wins, I think that's your playoff. Obviously, if Tennessee beats Georgia, it could really open the door for a lot more stuff, and SMU probably gets in over Georgia because their losses. But then again, they're gonna say Georgia has all these quality wins, and they have the hardest schedule in the country, so or at least among playoff teams. So it's really interesting. I think SMU, if they're very capable of being upset. I don't. Can you pull up their schedule?
I think SMU. I saw this week has like a 17% chance of getting in. But yeah, let me pull up their schedule real quick. It's gonna be wild, man. Down the stretch. Okay, so they have 3 games left. You think they're gonna beat Boston College?
Yeah.
Okay. Virginia.
Where is that game?
At Virginia.
Okay, that's a possible upset. That is possible. I mean,
Agreed.
If on neutral field, I'm taking SMU, but it's possible. And I also wonder what would they do? Do they actually consider? Do you think they value losing your conference championship? Do you think they take that as a loss?
It depends on how bad you lose.
Yeah, I think if you got absolutely obliterated, I mean, we saw.
So they have Boston College, the last 3 games, Boston College, Virginia, last game, California. Cal sucks. Cal's terrible. Virginia could be, but Cal is at SMU. I think Virginia is probably the least. I mean, the most possible upset here is Virginia, because Virginia's not terrible. They're not horrible. They're not bad. So,
I'm just realizing though, a lot of what I penciled in, it does rely on Texas beating A&M in that in College Station. We definitely need Texas to win that game. Now that I'm really thinking about it, this is crazy, man. And obviously, if Bama could lose to Auburn, that'd be great. Or Ole Miss losing to Florida. But here's the thing: Tennessee beat Georgia, you're in, baby. Or as long as you don't lose to Vandy.
You cannot lose to Vandy. You got
Lord, I might Pavia be walking by that time. I mean, I'm not saying I hope he gets injured. I'm just saying he's been getting beat up to hell and back every week.
I'm indifferent. Hope he gets injured. All right, let's close out the podcast with this. I'm gonna go on my little rant here, and then we're gonna kind of give our predictions of the score this weekend. And I believe now that I've given you a little pep talk that you're on the same page as me. But let me go on a little rant here for about 2 minutes. At the Tennessee game, and I've gone on this rant before, and it just pisses me off to no end. I can't stand it. If you are these people, just stay home. I'm so sick of you. I'm tired of you. You're a bunch of morons, bums, morons, all a bunch of just idiots. At the game this weekend, Mississippi State, yelling my head off at the field, just screaming as loud as I can. This fan turns around and goes, "Stop it. Stop it." He told me to stop cheering because I was cheering too loud. You dumb son of a bitch. Stay home.
It's a football game, man.
Stay home. Stay home. Cuddle your little teddy bear. Pet your teddy bear. Get on your little covers. Turn on your little fire. He looked like he'd taken 5,000 shots of Botox, especially with the two bimbo broads that he was with. Looked like they shot up 1,000,000 shots of Botox. Their lips were as fat as Mr. Potato Head. If you come to a game and tell me to shut up, you go home. You dumb son of a bitch. Go home. I don't want to hear it. I'm sick of your ass. Go home. You don't deserve to be there. You're sitting in a section where we pay a lot of money to be in, and you're sitting there, you just fly your private jet in, inject some more needles in your stupid fucking lips, and tell me to be quiet. Go home, you dumb son of a bitch. Do not tell me to be quiet, because you know what happens if you tell me to be quiet? I'm going to get obnoxious level 100 on your ass. And which is what I did. My own fiance had to tell me, stop it, because I was being so obnoxious to this man. And then, so she's standing there and she's clapping. She goes to our kicker. She's like, "This is going to go in. I know it." And he kicks a 50-something yarder. It goes straight in. And the Botox bimbo bitch turns around and goes, "Great pep talk. That's what made it go in." Like, go home, you dumb son of a bitch. Go home. Do not come to these games. Go home. If you are afraid of loud noises, go home, you dumb son of a bitch. Go home. Go home. Do not come.
Go to your home.
Go to your home. You freaking sensitive fuck. Go home. Go home.
We hope you didn't have children in the car for that.
No children around us. But that's
no, I'm talking about children in the car. I'm talking about our listeners. You dumb son of a bitch.
Well, that's why I stayed until the end, because people get to about this point, they're not really checked in. But if you're listening to the podcast tomorrow, you might want to turn it down. I should have prefaced it, but I don't really care, because that's exactly how I feel. But let's move on. 2-minute rant. How are we feeling about this weekend? Let's close it out.
One last thing though, I want to say. I know you get one last thing is my saying, but I want to issue an apology to Max Gilbert. He okay, he's 1 for his last 6 going into the Mississippi State game, but at Mississippi State or against Mississippi State, he was 4 for 4, and each time he kicked it, it was longer. And the last one was 51 yards, his career high. I mean, he is 19 years old. He's a young kid, and I'm happy as hell he could have snapped back into shape and have that kind of day. And I pray to God he doesn't ever have a day like he did against Kentucky.
Kids are going to have bad days. It's going to happen. He's a freshman, so it's going to happen. But yes, pray to have a day like that. But I think he's a really good kicker because that 52-yarder, 51-yarder, whatever, he destroyed that ball. And his celebration after that was incredible. He was so happy. And you know what started off that whole thing is what I told you is you play basketball, you make a layup. Just see it go in. He kicked a 24-yarder, went straight in. And then the next one was a 30-something yarder. The next one was a 52. Like, you just see it go in, and it helps your confidence. And that dude has got a freaking leg to no ends. That dude can destroy a ball.
I'll say this. He's a redshirt freshman. He could have 4 more years here. I mean, with that leg and everything, you really could be. I mean, that's a big stretch to say it, but one of the greatest kickers in UC history. If you consider how long his career could go for. I mean, he could have 3 more years of being our kicker, and he can kick a 55. He can kick a 60-yarder if he wants to, and without any give. I mean, he's a really damn good prospect. It scared me to death how we left 9 points on the field against Kentucky, and if we're doing that against like a Georgia or in a playoff game where our season is 100% over. So that's just that.
Mr. In the moment, Austin. Just hold your freaking candle. Okay.
Oh, and we also
hold your candle.
Didn't get to talk about our basketball team beating the living hell out of Louisville.
Yeah, another thing that you said that was gonna be terrible, and
I thought Louisville was gonna kick her ass.
You did. You're like we were literally at the tailgate. I was like, this is the worst defense I've seen all season. We played one game, dumbass.
I said, this is the best defense we played all season.
It's whatever. It's one game. What the hell is wrong with you?
Okay. Let me just defend that take I had, okay? We are replacing one of the best defenders and one of the best setup men in Tennessee history in Triple J, and we're also replacing the best scorer ever for a single season with Dalton Knecht. There was a lot to replace in this team, and I, in my head, thought, from what I saw in that one Gardner Webb game in the Indiana scrimmage, what I saw in those 2 sample sizes, that it may be a little tougher to replace this, and it might take a month or 2 to get everything in gear. And I thought, Louisville looked pretty damn good that one game, and it was in their house, sold out crowd, 20,000 screaming Louisvillians. I thought it'd be a kind of a setup for a bad day for us, but man, we just came out there old school Rick Barnes style, suffocated them with defense. Ches Lanier looked like a freaking machine from 3. Zakai had a lot of threes too. We did turn over a little bit, but we overcame that with suffocating defense and hell of a game by the Vols. And I cannot wait for the season.
Yeah. Speaking of bad day hats right here on the screen. Bad Day Hats. Check them out on social media. Bad Day Hats. They got some of the coolest, sickest hats ever.
Use code ChannelTN for 15% off.
There you go. Bad Day Hats. All right. Real quick. 1 minute left in this podcast. What are we sensing this weekend? What do you got? You've already heard my opinion. I feel like we both kind of agreed on it. I've kind of talked you into it. I think Tennessee goes in. I think they escape with a win. I really do. I think Georgia is not just going to come out and be pissed off for greatness. I think they are who they are. I think Tennessee is who they are. And I think Tennessee knows how to win. So I cannot doubt a team that's been winning consistently since their first loss against a team that has lost since their loss. I've got Tennessee, a team that seems to know how to pull out wins and win. I've got Tennessee. I don't got a score prediction. I just got a feeling that Tennessee is going to. I don't know if this team loves each other. I'm just saying. I think I could be wrong, but this is what I'm feeling. I think Tennessee's going to go down to Georgia.
No, you can't be wrong.
And I think
No,
you're
you
right.
can't be wrong. I don't care what anyone says. You have to be right, or I will kill you.
Your sources tell me that I can't be wrong. So I think they're going to.
They say a lot about you.
Think they're good. I bet they do. I bet
They also say Bud Elliott's a bitch, but my score prediction, or my prediction for the Tennessee versus Georgia game, I think it's a big spot, man. This is a big spot, and you're going to have to stay on the ball the entire game. You're going to, I mean, obviously, but you're going to have to really play a clean game, and that's something this team struggled to do all year. We've had turnovers, we've had penalties out the ass on offense, but I do think this team will play a solid game, and I think this defense will definitely play a light. I think this defense is going to have a good day and set this offense up in good positions, and we're not gonna lose ourselves in the environment. I think it's gonna be a great game. I actually think this is gonna be maybe the best game of the entire season for college football. I think it's gonna be one of the best games of the year, and it's not gonna be a high flying, performance. I don't think we're gonna break 30, but I think we'll win the game. I got Tennessee 27, Georgia 23. I think we're gonna force a couple turnovers, and we're gonna pray to God Dylan Sampson doesn't fumble it for a fifth straight game. I think we're gonna get about 100 on the ground from Sampson. Nico's gonna gut out some runs too, and we're gonna play a good game. We're gonna play a good game. We're not gonna. It's not gonna be like.
It's gonna be like
the greatest. It's not. We're not breaking 40, or we're not breaking. I don't think we'll break 30, but I think we're gonna win a game. The way this team wins games.
It's gonna be like all season. Nothing special. Nothing spectacular. I can't bet against a team that continues to find ways to win. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
I'm not gonna bet on this game at all. But I think we're gonna. I think obviously you can lose this game. Mm-hmm. But here's actually a big key here, though. No matter what happens, do not get blown out. That is one major thing right here.
Agreed.
This team cannot afford to get blown out. They'll use that against us time and time out, and Lord knows they'll take any reason they can to keep Tennessee out of this playoff. So do not get blown out. But obviously, if you win, holy crap! I really do believe, though. I'm going to lay down on this, and that's this defense smells blood in the water. I've heard Kirby Smart wants to fire his whole offensive staff. That's a true behind the scenes thing going on right now, and the whole staff knows it. And I think this defense will smell blood in the water. I think they want to beat Georgia more than anything. I think they hate Georgia with every fiber of their being. They remember 2022. They remember last season, and they want Georgia. They want Georgia's head on the stick, and I think they'll go through a brick wall to make that happen. So I think we'll win this game because of our defense and the offense having a clean game.
All right. Well, we both agree, which is very rare. You dumb son of a bitch. But we both agree. That's rare, but I agree with you. I think that I can't bet against a team that keeps winning. So anyway, we'll find out if we eat our crow or we don't next Sunday night on the podcast. 8 p.m. Eastern time next Sunday. We'll find out. Austin, it's been a good one, man. I enjoyed this podcast.
It was good. This was good. This was nice.
Thanks for tuning in, people. We'll do it again. Good night. Go Vols, and God bless. Peace out.